Good morning, fifth grade. This is your grammar lesson for April the 16th, Thursday. Now, today is when we're going to do the quotation section. So go ahead and open up your grammar books to page 254 and pause me until you get there. All right, we're looking at quotations, which we have done some in class. So this is actually a little bit of a review. All right, so basically when you are directly speaking to someone, you're writing someone's exact words, it's called a direct quotation, and you need quotation marks around those direct quotations. Let's see, maybe that helps a little bit there. Okay. All right, so let's look at these examples. Terry said, comma, quote, let's go swimming, period, end quote. So those are the words she said. This beach is closing. Put quotes around that and a comma in front of the quotes. The lifeguard announced. That's what he was saying. Notice that a comma separates the speaker from the quotation. So the speaker here from the quote they're saying has to be separated with a comma. All right, when a quotation ends in a question mark or an exclamation point, however, don't add a comma. So you're either going to have a comma or the question mark or exclamation point. All right, a quotation is sometimes interrupted in the middle. End the first part of the quote with quotation marks. Begin the second part with quotation marks. And use commas to separate the quotation from the speaker. All right, this can be a little confusing, so let's look at this example. Do you realize, asked Rob, that we forgot the craft? So can you tell that asked Rob is not part of the quote? That's who is doing the quote. But this is, both sides of this is a quote. Do you realize that we forgot the raft? And Rob is doing the question. So you have to start with a quote because that's part of what he's saying. And then put a comma here and put another quotation mark there. And then put this little sentence tag, asked Rob, separate it with a comma. More quotes because this is continuing on. And then you're finishing with the quote. And that's all part of one sentence. So you don't capitalize that T. All right, now let's see when you do capitalize it. If the second part of that interrupted quotation begins a new sentence, now we started with a capital letter, and you would use a period after the speaker. So let's look at this example. It's too late now, I said. We'll have to come back later. All right, so I said is the sentence tag. It's who is talking. But this is what that person is saying. It's too late now. We'll have to come back later. And then I said is not part of the quote. So this is actually two separate sentences. It's too late now. That's a complete sentence. So you're going to put quotes around it, separate it with a comma because you're separating it from the sentence tag here. I said. Now we're going to put a period after that because we have another whole new sentence. We need to start with a quote again because we're picking up that quote and capitalize. We'll have to come back later, end quote. All right, if you're writing a conversation between two or more people, you're writing a dialogue. Remember to identify which person is speaking each time, starting a new paragraph whenever there's a change of speakers. All right, so let me do some of these with you so you'll know how to do your quotes when you do it for homework. How would you punctuate these sentences? Which letters should be capitalized? Okay, let's read it first so we know what's asking. What time, Tim asked, does Mom's train arrive back home? All right, so we know that this is our sentence tag. What time, Tim asked, does Mom's train arrive back home? These are not two separate sentences. It's all part of the same. So we're going to put a quote here, and we're going to put a comma here with another quote. Hope you can see that. And then here's our sentence tag, and so we're just going to put a comma here because it's not an end of a sentence. Another quotation mark, we're not going to capitalize because we're not starting a new sentence. And this is a question. He's asking a question. So we put a question mark there, and the quotation mark goes behind the question mark. All right, let's do another one. Dad answered, it will arrive at noon. Well, Dad answered is our sentence tag, and that's not part of the quote, so we're going to put a comma there. We are going to start the quote there, capitalize that first letter, and that's a statement, so we're going to put a period. Hope you can read that. Let me take that light off. Maybe that's better. Okay, next one, number 3. I'm sure she missed the city, Tim said. All right, so let's put quotation marks around here, what Tim is saying, and then a comma. And then actually at the end of the sentence after Tim said, we need another comma. She'll have photographs, replied Dad, and probably videos. Now we know this is, replied Dad is not part of the quote, and this is not a complete sentence, and probably videos, so it's not a complete sentence. So we're not going to have to capitalize there. So we'll start the quote. She'll have photographs, comma, end quote, replied Dad, comma, begin another quote, do not capitalize, and probably videos, period. Okay. Maybe she'll have presents for us too, said Tim. We want to hear about her trip to the ranch. All right, now we do have 2 sentences. Maybe she'll have presents for us too, said Tim. And we're going to put a period there, and this needs to be capitalized. Let's go ahead and quote this. Maybe she'll have presents for us too. And you know what? That's kind of said with excitement. So let's put a quotation mark there. I'm sorry, not quotation mark, exclamation point. Maybe she'll, because you can imagine that being said with expression. Maybe she'll have presents for us too, said Tim, period. Begin another quote. We want to hear about her trip to the ranch. Okay. All right, let's do these together too. Same thing. Sherlock Holmes said, it's elementary, my dear Watson. All right, Sherlock Holmes said, comma, quote, capitalize, and quote at the end. The mere absence of war, stated John F. Kennedy, is not peace. All right, so this is what he said, and we're going to put a comma there. Quote, stated John F. Kennedy, comma, not a sentence, so we don't need to capitalize. Okay. I have a dream, exclaimed Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. And we will put a question mark. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Exclamation point there. I have a dream. You don't need to capitalize that. Exclaimed. Okay. A poem, said Robert Frost, begins with a lump in the throat. A poem, comma, said Robert Frost, comma, begins with a lump in the throat. Okay. We need our heroes, wrote Eleanor Roosevelt. So we, and then quotation mark. Of whom, asked Emily Dickinson, am I afraid? Okay, quotation mark. She's ending it with here. Of whom, asked Emily Dickinson, comma, am I afraid? End quote. All right, and let's do these last 2 here in this section. Walt Whitman said, I hear America singing. Okay, so Walt Whitman said, comma, I hear America singing. Where have all the flowers gone? Asked singer Pete Seeger. So now that's a question. Where have all the flowers gone? So we're going to put a question mark there because that is the question, not that. And then we put quotes there. Okay, and let's do this section here. Why are you always quoting famous people? Asked Leah. Okay, well, this is the question. Why are you always quoting famous people? So you would need to put a question mark in there. Well, said Luke, they say things much better than I do. Now, this is not a separate sentence from that. It's not 2 sentences, so we don't need to, this is lowercase. They say much things better than I do, and quotes at the end. But your words should express your own ideas, Leah replied. Well, we needed quotation marks up here. She's talking. And you don't put a period there. You put a comma to separate from the writer. Sometimes that's more important. Okay? That's good because that was 2 separate sentences. Luke asked, comma, capitalize here, do you really think so? This should be inside the quote. Your punctuation is inside the quote. Of course, Leah exclaimed. It's great to repeat famous quotations. but I want to hear your words too. All right, she's exclaiming, so let's put an exclamation point there. Of course, Leah exclaimed. Period. All right. It's capital quotation. It's great to repeat famous quotations, but I want to hear your words too. We've got that quote. Well, Luke said. Okay, so we need to end that. Comma. Whoops. No, sorry. Mrs. King. Luke said with a smile. Okay, well, Luke said with a smile, comma, then we're starting that. That's nice to know. Okay, that is the lesson for today. So turn to page 271, and you are going to follow directions. And there's no easy way around this except to write the whole sentence out. That's the only way we can do it. I think I will split it up and have boys do odds and girls do evens. And you need to write all of your 8 sentences out and put the quotation marks and punctuation in where they are needed, okay? All right. Thank you, guys.